Vladimir Putin has begun apologizing and talking about his intention to end the war against Ukraine. Trump's team is confident that the war could be finished in the upcoming months. Meanwhile, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev said that Russia has begun spreading disinformation and delusions about the recent incident with the Azerbaijani airplane. So what is known about the current statements from the Kremlin about ending the war in Ukraine, and why did Vladimir Putin apologize from the Alhami president of the Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev? So Russian dictator Vladimir Putin says that he would be ready to end the war in Ukraine, but on his own terms. The Economist and the New York Times reported that the war in Ukraine could be finished in the upcoming months. Meanwhile, Trump's team is confident that the war would be settled by the US President-elect Donald Trump. But today, for the first time, we have heard official comments from the Kremlin about Trump's proposal on Ukraine. So Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov declined Trump's offer on Ukraine. He said that Russia will not support Kit Kellogg's plan on banning Ukraine from joining NATO for 20 years because Ukraine should not ever join NATO in the future, according to the Russia's propaganda. Also, Sergei Lavrov said that Russia will not support deploying European peacekeeping forces to Ukraine because Russia will not like Ukraine to have a peace and prosperous life. So according to Lavrov, Kremlin declines also Trump's proposal on sending European peacekeeping forces to Ukraine. Also, we have heard another statement from the Kremlin. Russia will not attend Ukraine's peace formula summit and will not support Ukraine's peace formula. Moreover, Russia threatens to deploy another missiles even closer to NATO territory because Russia intends to lift previously imposed moratorium on the deployment of the intermediate and also shorter range missiles. So this is direct threat to the NATO and to the West. And also Russia declines Trump's offer on Ukraine, declines 2 important points of the Kit Kellogg's plan of Ukraine. As we know, Kit Kellogg in the next month will visit Ukraine capital Kyiv and also European capitals, other European capitals, and will discuss a ceasefire plan to end the war in Ukraine very soon. At the same time, Kit Kellogg, Trump's special envoy on Ukraine and Russia, is confident that both sides are interested in a ceasefire, are interested in ending this war soon. So Kit Kellogg, despite Russia's claims and Russia's comments about their unwillingness to reach a ceasefire, Kit Kellogg still is confident that both sides are ready for negotiations and the war could be finished in the upcoming months. So Kit Kellogg proposed his plan to US President-elect Donald Trump. This plan includes freezing the front lines, creating a demilitarized zone between Ukrainian and Russian forces, and deploying European peacekeeping forces to patrol this demilitarized zone. Also, this plan includes providing Ukraine with military assistance to help Ukraine to defend itself against Russian aggression in the future. And also Kit Kellogg is ready to lift some sanctions which were imposed by the West against the Russian economy. However, it seems like Russia for now is not ready for negotiation because Sergei Lavrov declined Trump's offer on banning Ukraine from joining NATO and from deploying peacekeeping forces to Ukraine. Moreover, Vladimir Putin's spokesperson Dmitry Peskov today said that there are no any kind of conditions for a peace in Ukraine and for a ceasefire for this time. At the same time, we have heard different messages from different Kremlin officials. Vladimir Putin said that he is open to ending the war in Ukraine, but on his own terms. So it really now depends on Donald Trump. Everything depends on Donald Trump, because on whether Trump is ready to punish Russia, to put more pressure on Russia to force Vladimir Putin to a negotiation table. So now all things depends on Donald Trump's policy and on his aid policy on Ukraine and on demilitarized zone and on other plans to end the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that Donald Trump understands that Ukraine should be powerful militarily enough to end this war. According to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Scholz recently spoke with Donald Trump, and according to Olaf Scholz, Donald Trump fully understands that Ukraine should be in a stronger position, in a strong position to conduct any kind of negotiations with Ukraine and to reach a ceasefire deal. So this is a biggest sign that US will continue to support Ukraine even with Donald Trump in the White House. Also, according to the recent media statement, according to the recent article from the Financial Times, Donald Trump's aides sent a clear message to Europe. The United States government and Trump's administration will continue to sending military aid to Ukraine because, firstly, it will be important for Ukraine to have a strong position during negotiations. Without military aid, Ukraine will not be able to conduct any kind of negotiations with Russia, because in such case, Russia will conquer Ukraine without any kind of talks. And firstly, and secondly, also Donald Trump is interested in sending additional support to Ukraine because it serves America's business interest, because sending military aid for Ukraine is beneficial for American economy, because American industrial base and American defense companies are getting benefits from producing weapons to Ukraine, because all military aid which is provided to Ukraine is not provided by giving Ukraine cash and money. Ukraine does not receive cash from the United States. Ukraine only receives weapons and significant amount of weaponry and advanced weapons. And all these weapons which are being deployed to Ukraine, which are being provided to Ukraine, are being produced in the United States of America. That's why this is really beneficial story for the United States, because all that weapons are being produced by the American companies, which earn money from these weapons and which pay taxes to the American budget. That's why Americans benefit from this military support for Ukraine, and sending military aid for Ukraine is really beneficial for American economy. At the same time, Friedrich Merz, the main candidate for German Chancellor, to be a German Chancellor next year, supports sending long-range missiles Taurus to Ukraine. So Friedrich Merz fully supports sending Taurus missiles to Ukraine. Also, he said that any kind of deployment of peacekeeping forces to Ukraine should be agreed with Russia, because it is impossible to deploy peacekeeping forces to Ukraine without agreeing this proposal with Russia, and this could be a part of a big peaceful settlement of the war. However, it is still unknown on whether Russia would support that, because Sergei Lavrov said that they would not support this idea. So let us see what will happen next. However, Friedrich Merz fully support sending additional aid to Ukraine and sending additional Taurus missiles to Ukraine. Also, at the same time, we have heard another cynical statement from the Slovak government. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico threatened Ukraine to end the export of the electricity to Ukraine, because Ukraine will stop the transit of Russian gas to the Slovakia. So according to the Robert Fico, according to the President Zelensky, Robert Fico has launched another attack on Ukraine and has opened another axis of attack on Ukraine, because he said that Slovak government will not export electricity to Ukraine in this crucial for Ukraine time, when electric grid of Ukraine is being bombed and destroyed by Russian airplanes and Russian bombs. Also, at the same time, Robert Fico visited Moscow and met with Russian dictator and war criminal Vladimir Putin, because he would like his country to receive cheaper gas from Russia rather than to have a decent position on the international stage, and rather to have a decent policy on Ukraine. That's why Robert Fico have more priorities in cheaper gas rather than in right position regarding the support for Ukraine. Also, he has urged European leaders to force Ukraine to continue to transfer Russian gas. However, all European leaders agree that Ukraine has a right to stop transit of Russian gas, because this transit benefits Russian economy, and Russian economy is used to fund the war against Ukraine. That's why Ukraine has stopped this transit of gas, and that's why European leaders fully support this idea of stopping the transits of this gas. And in the end of our conversation, we will cover the recent statements regarding the incident with the Azerbaijan Airlines plane. So Russian dictator Vladimir Putin has apologized in the phone conversation with the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. However, he did not take the responsibility, he did not admit the Russian responsibility for shooting down Azerbaijan Airlines plane. So Vladimir Putin, for the first time, refused to admit the guilt of this incident. He apologized, but did not admit that Russian forces shot down this plane. As we know from the American sources and from the Azerbaijani government, Russia has shot down a civilian plane, Azerbaijan Airlines plane, which was en route from Baku to Grozny. At least 38 people were killed by the Russian missile which was fired at this plane. Also, Russian side even did not allow this plane to land in the Russian airport. The Russians, moreover, Russians jammed this plane and forced this plane to fly over the Caspian Sea. They hoped that this plane will crash at the bottom of the Caspian Sea, and that's why nobody will know about the Russian missile which hit this plane. However, this plane flew over the Caspian Sea and tried to land at Aktau, Kazakhstan, but failed to do so, and that's why this crash has happened. However, Ilham Aliyev brings another bold position. He said that he demands from Russia apologies, admit of his responsibility, compensations for dead people, for victims of this plane crash, and also he demands from Russia punishment for people who are responsible for this incident, for this tragedy. However, it is a long-standing practice that Russia always does not want to pay any kind of compensation, and Russia does not even admit its own responsibilities. The same story happened with Malaysian Airlines plane, which was shot down over Ukraine by the Russians, by the Russian side, by the Russian rebels. That's why story tells us that Russians are not decent enough to admit their own responsibility for this tragedy, to punish responsible officers and to pay any kind of compensation for victims. That's why Russia will not do so. But on the other hand, Azerbaijan will for the first time see the true face of the Russian army and of the Russian side, and the true face of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, who never admits his guilt, who never admits his responsibility for any kind of catastrophe, any kind of tragedy they are responsible for. That's all for today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, stay with us on YouTube, and glory to Ukraine.